Welcome to today's edition of the Coal Scene. I'm Chris Hamilton, Vice President of the West Virginia Coal Association, and joining me today is Governor Joe Manchin. Governor Manchin and I will be discussing several issues of major importance to the coal industry today that present challenging times for all of us involved within the industry. Governor, thank you so much for taking time to join us and for stopping by.
Chris, it's great to be here, and I always enjoy talking about West Virginia and what we're doing, what we can do.
It seems like there's a lot of major policy issues kind of converging simultaneously today involving coal. We have the proposed cap and trade legislation. Seems like there's a move to increase the renewable energy portfolio. We have EPA playing a more of a hands-on role with the permitting process
Chris,
today.
The movement, there's been a movement that's villainized coal. And they've been very successful at doing it. That we're the problem, we're the bad guys, if you will, okay? And we're just forcing ourselves upon the rest of the country that really doesn't want what we have. We have let them tell a story without telling our story. I really believe that. And I've thought this. You know how proud each and every one of us are of our troops and all of our military and all of our veterans, everyone who's given us the freedom that we receive today and live in this quality of a life that we have in this country. We thank the veterans that's gone to war for us and is willing to die for us. We should be taking the same approach and thanking the coal miners, thanking the coal that has energized this country, that's made us the power that we are. And we've won every war because of the energy we receive from the product of coal. We have been able to build the greatest industrial might. We have improved the quality of life for all Americans because of the dependability of the energy of coal. Now, with that being said, we haven't told that story, so we have no people, or a great group of people said, thank you, West Virginia, for what you've done. Now, can we all work together to make it better? Absolutely. Sign us up. We can do it better. We've proven that. We've proven that we can clean the air. We've proven we can clean the water, and we've proven that we can use the land better. And if we have enough money for research and technology, since we want to clean up the CO2, we can even do that better. We stepped out on our own. AEP has the only commercial viable sequestering project in the world, Chris. We get no credit for that. So there's an old verbiage, and it basically goes this way. You better tell your story before someone tells one on you. They've been very successful of telling a story on West Virginia that's not true or accurate, and it's time for us to tell our story.
You touched upon a lot of issues there. The most recent announcement, you mentioned the carbon sequestration facility with AEP's Mountaineer plant.
Yeah. They've been talking about future gen. They want the federal government to give them $1 billion or $2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
AEP went out and did it. And it's the hardworking men and women, union-working, hard-working people that made it happen.
Well, it's great that we've taken the lead on that. And I know last legislative session, you championed legislation to help permit those facilities and get those online a lot quicker.
You have one of the most advanced technologies trying to come to fruition is with Alstom and Dow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be to retrofit every pulverized coal plant in the world.
Well, no other state stands to gain or lose as much as West Virginia on the success of carbon sequestration.
Let me tell you, I don't know how this nation can put itself in a position to be more unsecured. You know, the more we continue to depend upon the foreign oil, the suffering that we humans and Americans, the men and women who die fighting for the energy, they can tell you all they want to. Every war that's ever been recorded in history has been fought over energy, one way or another. And we have transferred more wealth that's ever been transferred in history because of our quest for oil. We have the ability to be more secure and more independent, and we can do it in an environmentally balanced way. It can't be perfect. but it can be balanced.
We'll come back and we'll talk a little more about EPA and some of the
Oh, they're
some of the
killing us.
issues there, and the war on mountaintop mining. But you strike a chord here about the priorities, if you will, of the country. When you think about it, this administration took office. I don't want to beat up on this administration, but their whole focus was to wean the country off of coal. And they started out with a very aggressive, onerous cap and trade program. And when you do that, I mean, it stands to reason that when that's at the top of your priority list, it stands to reason that everything else that follows will be negative or restrictive.
Let me say, as governor of the state of West Virginia, and all of us live here, 30 to 50 years from today, our children and grandchildren, those who will not use coal as we use it today. This nation will not need coal the way it does today. We're in a transition. That transition could be 30 plus years because nothing else is ready to come online to take up and to be competitive. Now, what they're doing is truly the proverbial putting the cart before the horse. They're raising the cost that makes a hardship on every family that's struggling to pay their bills.
That's correct.
It'll make it very difficult, and it'll take more out of the budget to pay utilities than at any time in history in our country. That is devastating to the quality of life and to the middle class as we know it. With that being said, you take away the ability to compete. If we start raising, you only have 25 or so states right now, the so-called industrial states out of America, the United States of America. So with that being, you're taking, basically, you're knocking the props out from under them to where they can't compete. And you just basically, we give up. We're not going to make anything anymore. We can't produce at the level, so we'll let that go somewhere else. I'm not willing to give that up. I said, here, quit sending me checks. And we've said, give me a work permit. Let me work. Let me go work. Let us build America. You can't build America on printing money, but you can sure as heck build America on having Americans working. And that's what we've all got to be absolutely committed to.
Well, you raise a good point there. It seems like we're hearing a lot about stimulus programs, stimulus initiatives.
Everyone's become totally dependent.
To try to grow the job base.
Right.
And here we are in West Virginia just seeking a work permit.
Well, let me say,
the federal government.
The stimulus has helped basically keep everybody from falling clear through the cracks. In every administration, you know, I support changing health care. You have to have people that are healthy. You can't build an economy unless you have a healthy, skilled workforce. I applaud all of these things. I applaud trying to find a balance between the economy and the environment. But I'm going to be very critical when we see, you know, it's one thing to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's another thing to figure it out. It's a train coming at you and the whistle's blowing. Now, we figured that out in West Virginia. And we're not going to stand by and let it happen. I mean, we just can't.
Well, we've made, and you observed, we have made excellent progress over the last 2 decades. You were very active and involved with the acid rain amendments to the Clean Air Act. The hardship they created to the higher sulfur reserves up in the northern part of the state.
My part of the state took a tremendous hit during that period of time. But let me just tell you, they approached that. The federal government, and Senator Kerry was back in that time. They approached that by saying, listen, we've got a problem with acid rain. And here's the people responsible for it. And here's how we're going to fix it. They put an umbrella or a cap and trade with the umbrella. You had to be within certain guidelines of the emission. Or you had to get in line. You either did it 2 ways. You retrofitted your power plants by either putting scrubbers and low NOx boilers, or you switched to low sulfur coal. So we paid a price for that in some of our higher sulfur jobs until the plants came on that could burn higher sulfur in a scrubbing type of an atmosphere. But there was technology available to fix that one, Chris.
Yes.
And you know what?
And it seems like the time frames were more realistic.
But the penalties or the taxes was designed to fix the problem.
Exactly.
This cap and trade is not designed to fix the problem. This cap and trade is designed to get more money in the system and create another layer of wealth that doesn't fix the problem. I believe that through my core.
Well, and it's also extremely punitive on energy producing states like West Virginia. I read somewhere, I think through the West Virginia University's College of Business and Economics, where it's going to cost upwards of $1 billion for the first 7 or 8 years, then $2 billion on the state of West Virginia.
There's going to be all figures. No one's going to come to a figure they all agree to. Only thing I'll tell you this, look at your bill today. As we start moving down, as the EPA's infringements there making it harder for us to work, everything that's being done, look at your bill. You'll never see it this cheap again. You'll never see it this cheap again. And it is not the fault of the state government of West Virginia or anybody, because we're trying. And basically, our legislators are trying to work. They're very supportive from both sides of the aisle. Democrats, Republicans, House and Senate, everybody's working. Chris, the bottom line is they've got to get serious about fixing the problem. And if CO2 is the problem, then you better put the money on the front end to find the technology. That's going to be through research. If you don't find the technology first, you're going to put the penalties first. You put the penalties first, you have a migration of jobs. We don't make anything because they'll go to China, India, and Indonesia.
Well, and you mentioned these third world countries that are developing. That's another big issue here with cap and trade and trying to control global climate change.
I'm not giving up on America.
If it's in fact a global climate change, a global issue, then it requires a global solution.
Watch Copenhagen. Coming up very shortly. Copenhagen, the meetings in Copenhagen. See if they sign up, if they come to the table, if they are sincere and are committed, and then also find out, is there going to be a way to police it and enforce it, even if they do give you lip service?
Well, I don't doubt whether they will be at the table. All indications are they are going to be at the table. The question is, the big question that remains, are they going to agree to the same reductions and restrictions that the United States is prepared to sign off on? That's the real question.
I've been to China, and I talked to them.
I think we were there together for a while.
Yeah, I talked to them, right, Chris, and we asked them point blank. They said, listen, you built your nation, you built the industrial might, you built the middle class on dependable, low-cost energy. That came from coal. Now you want to deny my country of China to do the same. Why are you so unfair? That's what they told me. Now, do you think that's an attitude? They're going to say something, fine, give us 30 years. Well, basically, we will decimate the industrial might of this nation if we basically give them carte blanche, the right to make everything that we consume.
Two things I will remember forever about the China trip when we were there, and I recall you asking the plant operator. They had the prototype, small scale coal to liquid. You asked him point blank what he was doing with the CO2, and I'll never forget him look at us and say nothing. He says, you need to understand that until we get a light bulb in every province, because they truly are a third world.
The process is this. The process with new technology really reduces the amount of CO2.
Yes.
It really does. So they think they've already accomplished something by using the new modern technology that's available. What we don't have available, and what we could right here in West Virginia, if the federal government makes a commitment on the front end that we are going to, before we implement cap and trade, we are committed, and I'll use hypothetically, $50 billion to find the solution to CO2. Either a way to capture it, to retrofit the existing plants, then put the cap and trade in place. We will have created the jobs on the front end. We will have been able to compete. And we'll be able to take our new industry, if you will, finding the cure to how to use CO2 around the world if it's cost effective. Then you level the playing field.
Well, the current bills, both the House bill and now the Senate bill, fall awful short in that area.
I'm going to be very vocal. That's all I can tell you.
Well,
very vocal.
We appreciate your support. You've been crusading on this issue for
sometimes
months and months
it's a voice in the wilderness. But let me tell you one thing: I'm starting to hear a little bit of howling because people are starting to look now. It's the economy. Things aren't turning around. Job markets aren't getting better. Unemployment's not going down. And the foreseeable future is still some real challenges. The only way you're going to come out of these challenges is let this country do what it does best, work and start consuming. We do that better than any place in the world. If you think we're going to sit back and let someone else produce it and we're going to buy it from them, we're not going to have anything to buy it with. Now, someone's got to figure that one out. And someone's got to forget about the politics of Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Put that aside. There's so many good things that this young president's trying to do. And I think there's so many things that he's not getting proper advice or the proper information. We've got to make sure. That's why we have 50 states. The 10th Amendment gives us a sovereignty of a state independency, and we're going to exercise that. Well, and hopefully they recognize it as we do.
I know there was I know that you called a meeting here at the mansion several weeks ago. We were involved. You brought in the congressional delegation. You brought in our state
Senators,
legislative leadership,
yes,
the mine workers, co-operators, and the whole mission was to try to get everybody on the same page. Everybody's been fighting, raising heck about a lot of things that are going on independent of one another. But as I kind of read the mission, the underlying mission of that meeting, it was to get everybody on the same page with the same agenda, kind of pulling them together at the same
Chris, right
rate.
now you have basically the EPA, and I truly in my heart believe they're trying to regulate what they can't legislate. They've overstepped their boundary, and they've stepped on the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, which is the primacy of each and every state and the responsibility we have to govern. Now, with that being said, I want to work with them. I don't want to work against them. And they should feel the same, but they don't. I really don't believe they do. And I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. That meeting was called for one. Do we all agree that basic coal is going to be needed for the next 30, 50 years through transition? Are we willing to get our mindsets through the transitional period to make sure that we use coal in the best proper manner that we can, responsibly and in a balance with the environment and the economy? Everybody agrees. Fine. Then I had everybody come together, and by Friday night, after the meeting on Tuesday, we have the outlay that you have, which is 4 points of what we're all going to go to the White House, to EPA, our congressional, our senators, and our congresspeople, and we're going to go there, and this is the 4 things that need to be fixed for us to continue to do what we do and to provide what this nation needs. That's what we have to do. That's how you take on them. And we're all with one voice, and it's got to be a strong voice. Can't be anyone who says, well, I think this is the problem. No, I think this is. We've laid it out, and everybody's come to the same conclusion. You all, I think, from the workers, everybody has come, this is what it's going to take. Now with that, then you have the climate bill or the cap and trade. We've got to get this fixed immediately.
No question.
Because the bottom line is, this economy in our state won't recover unless our people are working. And your industry's not going to run. No. Nothing's going to happen. And all the ancillary jobs that depend on it is not going to happen unless we're able to work.
Without question, we have a lot of stranded corporate investment dollars right now within these mining permits and these mining operations in southern West Virginia, and no one feels safe. EPA just come out, what was it, 2 weeks ago, and they initiated a process to revoke a mining permit that had been issued 2 years ago. And
that was arbitrary and capricious.
That creates a lot of concern.
That sets everything differently. Up until that time, it's been all talking and evaluation. And I've said this. I said any new administration, be it president or governor, should be afforded the courtesy of reevaluating any past administration policy.
That stands to reason.
That's reasonable. But also they have a responsibility to act and act quickly. Now this has been 1 year, almost a full year, it'll be pretty soon. And it's time for them, the proverbial saying is, get off the pot. And they got to do something, make a decision. You know what it reminds me of? They can't live with us, and they can't live without us, and they know it. And they're trying to find a way to appease everybody. Tell people the facts and the truth. Let it fall where it may. Let the people know the real story of what coal and what West Virginia has done for this country, what we're willing to still do the heavy lifting, and we're willing to make the changes that are responsible and are within balance. Let them know that story. Don't just villainize me and make me the problem. I am not the problem. This state has been the solution for many, many years, and we can still be the solution for the next 30 plus years. You know, we're trying. We have more wind power than most anybody on the east. That everybody else talks about all renewables. We're doing it.
I agree.
We're trying to do it. I want to put windmills and wind farms on our mountaintop sites.
Perfect place.
It's perfect. I want to put new industry. I want to put solar farms. I want to put a new agriculture that we can support a crop that basically is used for biofuels. This is what we want. Tell me any other state that's trying to do that.
You know, a lot of people, there are some groups who are trying to stop mining and would rather see wind farms being created. And you know, we have the opportunity to do both.
If we don't create the property that allows us to diversify the economy, southern West Virginia is never going to be able to be all that she should be.
Exactly.
And that's ridiculous.
It really is.
And we have a land use bill that basically says before you come and you want to disturb the land, cut one tree, or alter it and take one lump of coal out, you better show us how you're going to use that land better. Put all the infrastructure, all the amenities, give us a chance to survive. Give the wonderful people in southern West Virginia a chance to take care of themselves. Right now, they're totally dependent on the extraction industry, and when it's not working, nothing's working.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Well, we were part of the developing that legislation with you, the legislation that you championed
You all
last
came,
year.
and that was tough. It was tough bringing everybody, but Chris,
Well,
the vision had to be done, and you all stepped to the plate.
well, the whole thing was patterned after what they're doing in Mingo County. And when you think of what
Mike and
Mike
them are doing a
Witt
great
and those
job.
guys are doing down in Mingo County and the post-mine land development that's taking place down there, it's really phenomenal.
The airport, we haven't, you know, I mean, the industrial park, and now I took the whole that new syngas. Adam Victor, I took him. I said, Adam, go right here. This is where I want you, because these people want you there. We'll make something happen. If we can pull that off, that's tremendous as far as.
I go back when the agenda seems to be, you know, the priority seems to be to wean the country off of coal, and you advance a cap and trade initially to restrict coal production, coal consumption. Again, it stands to reason that everything that follows, every policy, every initiative that follows that agenda becomes negative or onerous.
Let me tell you what we can do. What we can do as a state for this nation, and I mean really step to the plate. We know that we can help make this country more secured and less dependent on foreign oil. Let us start building the coal to liquid plants. Let us start building basically the biofuel plants. Let us do the things. Let us create the agricultural land that we can grow the crop, that we can have the stock feed for the biofuels. Let us do all those things. Next of all, let us continue to keep working to keep the cost of energy so that we can be a producing country and not just an importing country. You will destroy our economy. We can do all those things, and I can't believe that there's people, but they have such I don't know what they have.
See, that's the proper agenda.
I don't know where they're
when you
coming
put,
from.
as you do, when you put national defense and energy independence, which is something that you've been stressing since you've been in office, when you put that as your priority at the top of the agenda, then all that follows will be supportive of those goals, including coal to liquid.
We need to, as a state, as a coal industry, as a state that's promoting renewables, as a state that's promoting all the different things that we should to bring balance and harmony to the economy, and also be able to keep this country strong. We better start telling our story. I'm sick and tired of going around, and I tell them, I said, before you start and ask me one question, let me tell you one thing. Each and every one of you, 300+ million people living in this wonderful, wonderful country, a land of opportunity. Better thank your lucky stars for the state of West Virginia and every person in the state that's worked hard to give you that opportunity. We did it, and we'll continue to help do that for you. We need you to work with us, not against us. They've been telling a story that's so wrong and so false for so long. People are starting to believe it.
Would it be prudent for a state like West Virginia, a major energy state, to embark upon a campaign similar to what you just mentioned?
Let me tell you one thing. We talk about the defense, Chris. We are so proud. When you see those ads on television, be all you can be.
Exactly.
Join the Army, join the Marines, join the Navy, be all you can. Be the best person for the greatest country, for the greatest purpose. Why shouldn't we do something in coal? Why shouldn't we say, this is where we've come from? Let's show the humble beginnings of this great country. We weren't a mite in the turn of the century, in the 20th century. We weren't a powerful country that we are today. We were tested. And then World War I, a complete full-blown war came, a world war, and we elevated ourselves. We were producing. Look and see how much we were dependent upon anybody else. We did it right here. And then from there, we got hit with the Depression. We got through that. And then Second World War. Again, we rose to the occasion. And
our miners are extremely proud.
They should be. But let me tell you one thing.
Of what they're doing. They're very masterful at it.
We have not been able to tell the rest of this country. This little state right now still produces about 40% of the energy that the East Coast uses.
That's amazing.
They don't know how to. We haven't done a good enough job.
No.
We really haven't.
No.
And rather than trying to defend what we're doing, why don't we go ahead and be able to be proud of what we've accomplished, and then say, if you like that, you're really going to like what we can do now, because we're going to do it more environmentally responsibly. because we have the technology. We don't have it all with CO2, so don't penalize the rest of this country and West Virginia because we don't have the technology. Go put the money and find, through research, the technology. When we fixed this, when they identified acid rain, we had scrubbers. We knew we could fix it. We knew we had the low NOx boilers. We knew we had low sulfur coal. We had a solution for the problem.
It's about time and technology and allowing
Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Advancements to catch up with the
But I want to tell you one thing.
need.
You'll hear. We're not silent on this issue, and I am so proud of being governor of the greatest state that's probably given more back to this country than any state in the nation.
Well, without question. We mentioned the corporate dollars stranded at some of these operations through the permitting process. The real problem that I see is the stress that's building within these households of your working miners. Again, they're extremely proud individuals. Many of those individuals have been, devoted a career, some a lifetime in mining and producing energy. And it seems like every day they pick up the paper and it's just gloom and doom.
And every miner out there, I will tell you, every miner that I know is an environmentalist also.
Exactly.
They love to hunt and fish. They love the outdoors. They love everything about this great country and this wonderful state. They're not going to do anything that's not right, okay? And if they make a mistake, they're going to fix it. And we as a state aren't going to let them do things that we know that we can't make it better.
Right.
And working with the federal government, hand in hand, we should be going with that approach. If we identify something that can't be done, we just know through experience we can't let you do that because we can't fix it. Don't do it at all. Let's go to the next. Don't let someone be strung out with their investment, making a decision, start a permitting process, go 2 or 3 years, spend thousands of countless of hours, millions of dollars trying to go and provide and get a return on that and get people to work, a return on investment people, and then say, I'm sorry, we don't like it, you can't do it. Why can't we should know on the front end, I'm sorry, we don't do that. That won't work there. That coal seam is too difficult, and it's not something we can control. We haven't found a good, tell me up front. But then say, but let me tell you what you should do, Chris. Go over here. We can help you here. This will work.
Exactly.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're leaving everybody in limbo. Just go out and try to figure it out, and we'll tell you what we like and don't like.
Well, and with that, this recession is showing signs, at least, of recovery, and there's a lot of people concerned that when the recession begins to recover, West Virginia is going to be sitting here not able to take advantage of the new markets, the increased markets, because we're about 15% off production and overall energy use as a state, as a
Chris,
nation.
I'm not using the economy as an escape or as a crutch. I really not. Just because the economy's tough, you got to let me work and forget about it all. No, there is a better way to do it.
Right.
What I'm saying is putting the cap and trade, worldwide trading that doesn't fix the problem because you're creating a whole nother layer of wealth. People can trade around the world these credits and doesn't really fix the problem of CO2.
Right.
You don't have a solution to fix it.
Exactly.
So when we had acid rain, we had a defined reason for doing it to fix the problem of acid rain.
And appropriate timeline to get it done.
We had the technology, we had the low sulfur coal, we had everything to do it, and we fixed it.
Right.
Okay? We can fix this too. But you can't let the whole world trade and create another layer of wealth and then all of a sudden say, made a big mistake, got to take that away. The greed. And I've said this before. This country's in the problem it's in right now because of one word, greed.
Exactly. Governor, we're out of time. This has been extremely enlightening and very
passionate,
passionate, very quick half hour. We appreciate your leadership and crusading on behalf of the coal industry. And
crusading on behalf of West Virginia.
On behalf of West Virginia.
And the country. This is great.
Which is coal.